On this episode we get the XF registered so we can take it to its new home where it will get the engine transplant done. So me and Rylan are about to dive into this. We're going to clean up some of the engine bay. We're going to fix some rust spots. What happened is I took it to the mechanics. We were in New South Wales, and each year in New South Wales in Australia you need to get a CTP green slip, which is kind of the equivalent of kind of a roadworthy. It's not as detailed as if you had to take over the pits like a blue slip, but it's still just to make sure your car's safe. There's certain things that older cars have that will automatically fail at. The biggest one is rust. New cars, their painting technique, their metal preparation is so much better than what it was back in the old days. So these old cars, like the old XF, basically they stopped running because they just rusted to pieces. So that's why they're not as common and they're a little bit rare. It's kind of why it's a little bit of fun to play with this thing. This car was actually very good with its frame and its chassis, but it has some spots of rust that are starting to show, as they would in a car this old, and some of those spots are actually getting to the point where they're starting to get serious. If we don't check them soon, then they're going to get worse. So for now, because we eventually want to get this car down to Victoria, once this car's in Victoria, you don't need to worry about the pink slip anymore, which means we've got far longer. So if this car sits in the shed for 3 years, I just have to pay the rego each year. No one checks it, which is a good thing when you're restoring it. It's a bad thing if you're actually not looking after your car and your car is rusting to bits and has no floor anymore and you can see the road through your footwell and that kind of stuff. Obviously that's not very good, and you can get away with it in Victoria and Queensland and a lot of other states. New South Wales you can't, which is actually a good thing, so cars are safe in New South Wales. But for this case, we don't really want safe. It is safe, but it's not going to pass. So we're going to get it ready for rego. So we've gone to a mechanics. Those guys were really nice. I said, can you give us a checklist of what it needs to be done to pass? And they said, this is what we need to do. Besides that, we're just giving this car a really good service because this car is going to travel 1,000 kilometers with a trailer, which is like over 600 miles in the States. So it's a decent amount of travel for an engine that's not doing so well. I've got no issues. I'm sure the car will do that plus more. But yeah, we just want to make sure we get there and the steering arms don't fall off or anything like that. So anyway, let's get to fixing up some of these things so we can get the pink slip, to get the car re-registered, to get it down to Victoria where we don't need to worry about the pink slip and we can actually fix the stuff properly. We're going to be working on this patch within the engine bay, just as I guess the first one. It's one of the ones where when they look at it, if it's rust in the engine, they're not going to pass it. So we'll fix that first. It's not bad. It's about the size of the end of a cup. The size of the end of that. It's not very bad. It's not all the way through in most of it, but a couple of spots are. What I've got is some rust converter. It's just a substance that will stop the rusting process, kind of like fish oil, that kind of idea. I've sanded back the affected area. I'm going to put this on. You leave this on for about 15 minutes to half hour. So I'll get this on there, then I'm going to work on the roof, just because we've got it's a little bit wet outside, but while we're under shelter, while I can get to those bits, I'm going to put our rust converter on the roof and make a bit of a mess there. Then after that's been done, I'm going to fill the spotting here just with some bog. Obviously this is not ideal. Like, the goal for this car is actually to get it running, to drop the new engine in, to turbo it, to V8 it, have some fun, and you know, putting filler in rust spot is not how you do that. So the only reason we're doing that now is to get it past Rego. Eventually, when we pull this engine out and we've got a nice clear engine bay, we'll cut out that piece and put a bit of plate there and do it properly. But for now, we're just getting it down to Victoria quickly. But obviously, you know, I don't want, if this does sit in the shed for 2 years, I don't want to come back and there's a size of a football rusted away because I didn't do it properly. I didn't treat it before I sealed in the moisture with bog and primer. So the bits are done.
Now let's do the roof.
That's right. So yeah, my filler went bad. Yep. So went to put that on. We've got, you know, it's cleaned up enough. We put a bit of filler in the spots that need filler. Then we'll clean it up a bit better and put some primer and stuff. But all these corners are about ready. That's good to be, yeah, bit of a tidy up, just a little bit of. You can see it's already got filler there. This has all been done before, but I'd say it hasn't actually been treated, rust treated. So you can see it's had a paint, and obviously a pretty bad one once again. More filler. This is not the first time this car has had this sort of stuff done. Filler and paint. Yeah, obviously it wasn't a very good job. That's why it's all coming off everywhere. That's why all the paint's looking like that. Clear coat's just coming off, was never put on properly, so that's alright. So let's do filler and do it properly, and yeah, go from there. So it is day 2 of getting the car ready for Rego, and it just so happens that today is just perfect. It is the beginning of August in Australia, and this is a Sydney winter. Fantastic. So that'd be awesome. We're gonna fix up the rest of these patches. So we've got a patch there. We've actually got another patch here that we're going to look at right there. More rust, so we'll get into that one today. Let's see how we go, that rubber seal. That'll come off alright. So things like that. We'll get into there sort that one out. Then the door trims down the bottom here. I'll fix those up as well. You can see just a little bit of rust down the bottom there. It's not too bad, but we'll fix that up. Then sand back the work we did the other day. Sand back here. And bit of primer, and we put some stuff on there. So it's all going really well. Yeah, but perfect day for laying down some bit of primer and a little bit of paint. We'll do it as simple as we can. Maybe rattle cans today, rather than pulling out the big guns. I'm pretty sure if you ever did a paint course, I'd tell you not to do that. It's so bogan. It's awesome. Rattle gun under the roof, like just, yeah. Half of it's primed. Yeah, but it's just a sealer. If we're driving in rain, I don't want primer. Primer can absorb water. Let's see, I'm not professional at any of this. Exhibit A. Primer can absorb water, so I'm just making sure that that's sealed in. But while I was going, I kind of thought, black corners. I don't know why I chose black. I think I just knew that paint seals really well, so I just kept going. Eventually we'll probably end up painting this car black, but that's not how I would paint anything, except for maybe a plastic panel if you've got something small, not worth pulling all the gear out. But if I was ever going to paint something that size, you know, like you get this bead about that big on a full can of spray, and it sort of gets smaller and it's terrible. You get a proper get a compressor, get a paint gun. It'll take about a quarter of the time, put down about twice or 3 times as much paint, and it'll be heaps even and better and as dodgy, but I don't care. Which is cool. But that's so much worse in the light. Check that out. That's just terrible. Way too cold to be painting. It's just gross. Oh, and I kind of love it. That's alright. So what I'm working on down here, and just because of time, I'm not getting the camera under there, but I'll explain basically what's happening here. Is this has like teeth that fits up, the pitman arm fits up on a large bolt with like a thread fits into the teeth, and the bottom part's threaded. You screw that up to get this out because it seats so firmly because of the heat and the movement of it all. You end up getting it seats in, so I've just got a puller. So two claws grab the edge of there, and the center one pushes that bolt out as you screw it and pop that. That came off really easy. This one I'm having a bit of trouble with. Almost there, but just doing the opposite of that one. We've got the claw on here pushing down that bolt. That should come off. So almost there. Hey, there she is, the old one. So this just really didn't want to let go there. So there's the old one. That's, you can actually feel the wobble in that, which means that there's wobble in the steering wheel, because when the steering wheel tries to turn that, wobble wobble, give. So old and busted. Might throw it quite yet, just in case we need it again. And the new shininess. Excellent. XF's done, it's running, should be good. Let's see if we can get it roadworthy.
We have the pink slip. XF Regoed. Once again, it's sometimes it's who you know, who you get. Great guys down the mechanics. Once again, I can't say their name. They didn't do anything dodgy. They covered themselves. If they were to look at it, and they can say that it's been repaired. They don't know the condition of the repair, but it has been repaired, so they're covered. Yeah, it's all good. It's all just, yeah, it's all good. So, yeah, awesome. So XF back on the road. Next thing to do with it is just tidy up a couple other little mechanical things. Just let this thing go. Yeah. So we'll fix this the bracket on the rear sway bar. That's all sitting home ready to go. We've got new sway bar bushers, so we'll chuck them in it. Then yeah, then we can yeah, it's ready to go. We'll give it a bit of a service, and then yeah, off to Victoria with a trailer full of everything we need to swap out the engine, including the engine. Yeah. So what is the next step for this? I guess would be we're gonna drop the V8 in it, get that running. So first thing is I want to get the engine in there and actually get it running, get it doing what it's meant to be doing. That's number one. Once that engine is in and running, we know that's all good, then we'll start on the turbo system for it. The turbo system, I've got a couple of queries that I'll start researching as well. The big one is sort of there's a MAF sensor, and I want to see what that looks like with a turbo system. I don't mind having a MAF on a turbo, but maybe there's another way of doing that. We'll see. Just for the computer and how that works. I really don't want to have to put an aftermarket computer on this car yet being the big one. Yeah, but first things first, let's enjoy the moment. We've worked hard, a few nights, a lot of dust, a lot of sanding, filing, all that stuff. Not enough sanding, not enough filing, not enough cutting, definitely nowhere near enough welding and patching, because we didn't do any of that, which is obviously what we have to do to get this car the way it should be and the way it deserves to be. Let's get this thing back to its former glory. And while I was underneath the car, I should have checked that exhaust knock. Anyway, might do that while we when we fix when we get under this to fix the sway bar, we'll do that. But car's going well. It's good. Rego, legal. Driving my legal XF rather than doing the odd trip to get bits. Not that I was driving legally, never. But driving down to the mechanics to get it checked and driving back and thinking, oh man, how does that work? But yeah, so that's good. It makes me happy that yeah, always a bit of pressure when your car's not running and you're running out of rego and you've got deadlines. This is the second year in a row that I've had a car that's been out of rego and a deadline's been coming up before I can actually get it fixed and running. It just sucks. Last year I was rebuilding the MPS and it was out of rego, and I had about 3 days before the 3-month period after the rego ran out, before the car would have had to go over the pits, and obviously with the engine rebuild the way we did it, never would have passed. So that was crazy, that was stressful. So yeah, the second year it's been out of rego and we've had to do work to get the car to pass. Yeah, that's right, it passed, we're good. So now on to the next thing.